Reluctantly.
Victoria, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Kitchener, asking for trouble all across the country. We have Brad Sherwood and my guest on the podcast today, Colin Mochrie, doing a tour across Canada. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you. Thank you so much for welcoming me in. I appreciate it.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. It costs you nothing to make a phone call to see if you can get a better rate, a better term, and better service for your mortgage. Also, Concept.com. Concept Clothing and Culture. CONXEPPT.com. Look your best.
Reluctantly.
We find you at home in Toronto today, getting set for the tour. It's not that far off.
Yep, getting set. Just got back from the U.S. where I was doing some shows, and now have a week off to sort of recharge.
Was it the Asking for Trouble shows, the tour down in the U.S.?
No, it was. I do another tour because I don't have enough work. The other tour is Hip-prov, where I tour with a hypnotist, and he hypnotizes audience members, and I improvise with him.
I was actually going to ask you about that. Hyp-prov, hip-prov, I suppose is the way you pronounced it.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably no shenanigans that goes along with that. I mean, I've seen a lot of your stuff that you've performed in the past, but I've never seen the hip-prov.
Yeah, it's different. When I'm working with, Brad or any of the Who's Line gangs or other improv people around the world, we all have sort of the same foundation. Even though we're improvising, we kind of know, all right, we're heading towards this direction. I don't have that with people who are under a hypnotic trance and are just random.
I suppose as if you're working with Ryan or Wayne or Brad or anybody in the past or current, there is a certain familiarity that you become accustomed to, and I can see how that would be a challenge with somebody who's hypnotized. Is all of a sudden, if they, as soon as they hear a finger snap, they think that they're naked on a floaty being attacked by sharks. You have to figure out how you're going to react to that, huh?
It does make it fun. It sort of takes me back to my early days of improv where, when you're first starting out, you're really focusing on the people you're working with because you don't know what their tricks are. It's like that. I really have to focus and really listen because they throw away these little gems that can give us something to work with in the scene.
How important, I mean, the visual aspect of improv, and you're a very physical performer as well, but how important is it to listen more than speak in improv?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the problems when you're teaching like first time improvisers, they're just afraid of silence. And because of that, they're not listening. They're just kind of waiting for the other person to stop talking so they can say their stuff. So listening is incredibly important because, as I say, the smallest little thing that your partner can toss off may become a big thing that will lead to, unmined treasures in the scene you're doing.
I just hope my partner is never tossing off when we're performing that.
I don't. Well, depends who you pick.
That's something that you didn't learn on The Friendly Giant, which
No, absolutely not.
Talking about doing your hip-prov and, of course, all of the stuff that you've done in the past with the likes of Wayne Brady and Ryan Stiles, and how often are you in touch with those guys?
Not as often as I'd like. I mean, I haven't seen them since our last taping, which was 2 years ago. I mean, we keep in contact through, social media, but yeah. And one of the best things about Whose Line was, well, part of it was we didn't spend a lot of time together, so we didn't get on each other's nerves. It was like 2 weekends out of the year. So when we got together, it was always, everyone was excited to see each other again and have fun. So I do miss that.
The Whose Line thing, I know there's a little bit of sandpaper when it comes to that, and I don't want to get too far into the whole thing,
You
but
can do anything you want. It's your show.
okay. Well, then I'll come right out and ask. You're obviously aware of the lack of money that artists get paid by things like Apple Music and Spotify and that sort of thing. Do you feel like that's the same sort of raw grind that you got with Whose Line Is It Anyway?
I mean, it's such a mixed blessing because without Whose Line, I mean, you certainly wouldn't be talking to me right now. It gave me a career. It gave us all a chance to do what we love doing. But there was the thing of, I don't think we got paid what we should have. We made a nice living, so that was good. But then when you're going around the world and you notice, oh, the show is playing here too, and here, and we never got any residuals, or because we were basically writing the show. We were improvising, of course, but we were providing all the content. And we didn't really get paid for that.
Is there a kind of a misunderstanding or a lack of recognition from a, management suits point of view to relating to a performer's point of view, like the fact that you brought up it is improv, but you're still writing. You should get writing credits because even though you come up with it spur of the moment in an improvisational situation, you're still the writer, you're still the creator, and it should be acknowledged that way.
Yeah, it's so odd because we were always complimented in one way by other, people in charge of, like, no one can do this, but there was also a thing where it was almost like they felt, anyone can do this. You just, everybody's improvising day to day. We can just put them on stage and get anyone. When the producers, it started off as an English show, and when they were trying to get it done in America, all the big companies were saying, well, okay, we'll get some good looking improvisers. And Dan Patterson said, it works fine with the funny looking guys. And good luck finding a good looking improviser. There is a thing. My wife was in the green room for our very first Who's Line in America, and it was all the suits there, and they were going, you know what? It kind of needs it needs celebrities. So they just started naming all these people, like Julia Roberts, all the cast from Friends. Someone said Dustin Hoffman, and the other one said, no, Dusty isn't hot right now. And then finally, one person said, hey, you know what? What they're doing is really hard. And then that kind of stopped it. But it's a weird thing where people, in some ways respect it, in some ways don't.
The residual pay aspect of it is really kind of disheartening. I've heard rumblings and then read and found out more about it. And you look at like a Friends or a Seinfeld or whatever, and I mean, there's a lot of money changing
Yeah,
hands.
it is.
And
Yeah, they do okay. Yeah.
yeah. So when you travel the world and all of a sudden see that, like, do they have it dubbed in with different languages and everything? Have you seen that?
I haven't. I think they just use subtitles. My wife and I were in Italy for a holiday, and this Italian guy came up and said, I learned how to speak English from Who's Line. And I went, and he sounded great. I thought, how does that work? I mean, again, it gave us, what we've got now. So you can't be totally. Del Close, who was sort of the guru of Second City, once was giving a speech on one of the anniversary shows. He said, one thing you can never expect in this business is justice. Because if you do, you're just going to get bitter and you're not going to get anywhere. And it's true. I know hundreds of improvisers who could easily be in this position, but didn't get the chance because a show didn't come at the right time for them or at all. So yeah, there is no justice in the business. Sometimes there is, where somebody through talent and whatever does get recognized, and it does happen. But there's so many other instances where, for whatever reason, either bad luck or it just doesn't happen. But you can't dwell on that. You just got to keep going.
You were born in Scotland and then came over to Canada in the mid '60s or so. Oh, by the way, happy birthday coming up! I know it's your
Oh,
birthday
thanks. Yeah.
at the end of November. So
Yeah.
you came over to Canada mid '60s. Then, didn't you move to Vancouver and then Toronto? Or
Yeah. Yeah. We lived in Edmonton a year. My mother despised it. Sorry, Edmonton. I'm coming back though. I love Edmonton. And then we ended up in Vancouver. Yeah.
you will be here in Edmonton on November 23rd.
Yeah. I was there
Also,
I did the Fringe Festival again this year. And it's just a great time. I love so many great people and performers here. So many great shows during the Fringe Festival. My Deb, my wife, came with me. She saw 32 shows, I think. So yeah, a lot to be happy about in Edmonton.
I don't imagine you do. It's probably a stupid question, but you don't travel with an entourage or anything. It's just you and your wife, Deb, and you just get recognized on the street. You enjoy You enjoy the adulation and the "Hey, that's Colin" sort of thing?
Yeah, it's not, it's not bad. There could be worse things. I think it's weird because of the show. People feel they know us because we're not really playing characters. They're more heightened versions of ourselves. So people are quite relaxed coming up and talking to us. And I would have to say, generally, they're really nice. So, it's easy not to get pissed off at them because there's no reason.
I recently did a podcast with Donovan Workin.
Oh, yeah.
You know Donovan? I've known Donovan for 30 years, and it's been a treat to watch him from the early days of Atomic Improv and develop and grow and turn like we had to laugh because the night before I was recording the podcast with him, I saw him fart in a car on a TV commercial. And I said, "That's my boy Donovan. He's making a living farting in a car."
There you go. Showbiz will take you in many, many different places and situations.
I suppose. Well, look at you right now. You're hawking underwear, aren't you?
Yes, really comfortable underwear, man-made, very soft, very protective. So nice.
How did the man-made thing come up? Because I've reached out to those guys too, and I know there's a number of differing levels of celebrity that are. I think Howie Mandel's doing man-made
Yeah,
too.
I was doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing a hip-prov in Montreal, and they sort of contacted my agent and said, "Hey, we'd like to talk about doing something for Man-Made." So we met, and then I got free underwear, and that was it. It really is incredibly comfortable. I've gotten so many. Mark Meir, local improv artist and all-around great guy, he has just switched to Man-Made. So
You just were you running low on good underwear, or was it a
you know what?
completely different change in style, or?
As you get older, there are changes in your body that sometimes some underwear don't take into consideration. Like all of a sudden you're coming up the sides and it's just saggy. These are nice. They firmly caress
And
you
cup?
and cup little McDavid and Dreisaitl and make sure that they're safe.
Do you have other endorsement deals going on right now aside from the underwear?
No, not right now. No.
Hmm. We were talking about a thing on my radio show this morning. They've come out with contacts that you can use like a magnifying glass or telescopes, and you can multiply your vision by 3. I wondered if that was really necessary and
I,
if I'd even want it.
it seems like I could go wrong at any minute.
Well, the first thing that pops into my mind with something like that is when you're talking. I remember the original Superman with Christopher Reeve and
Yeah.
Margot Kidder, and then he could see unless she was standing in front of the lead flower pot.
Yeah.
He couldn't see her underwear color, and for the first thing I thought was, why do you have lead flower pots? That seems awfully heavy for the rooftop.
Right there in the asbestos awning.
So there's that. And then what about you wear corrective lenses? You wear glasses. What
I
about
wear
the
glasses.
new smart glasses with the cameras and the thing? Have you considered those?
No, Assad Mekki, the hypnotist in the show, he's all about technology. So he made me wear those glasses for a scene that we were just to get some stuff for social media. And it was like, I I never look at photos or videos. People who will go to an event, I'll say my wife. So she there was videotape of our daughter being christened. So everybody was there. We have the christening. Then afterwards, everyone went downstairs and watched the video of it. And I thought, we've just seen this. And I got to say, even after that short time, it didn't hold up. It was like, come on, let's move it. I know what's going to happen here. And I love my daughter and my wife. I'm just saying,
Where did I read it? I read your daughter's name. Is that a very?
Kinley,
I'm sorry,
Kinley.
Kinley. Is that a very Scottish name? I just
I think it's more Irish, actually.
is it
Yeah, Irish. Yeah.
being born in Scotland. Do you go back? Do you have family there? Have you appeared at the Edinburgh Fringe, talking about the Fringe that you appeared
Yeah.
here in Edmonton? Do you go back to the home country?
I do. It's been a little while. I think the last time we were at the Edinburgh was just before COVID happened. I still have family here. I mean, the beautiful thing about uh, the UK people is they always come here and they don't, stay a week. They stay 6 weeks. So by the time they're leaving, it's like, okay, I'm now good for a couple of years.
And after companies come for 6 weeks, that means that they're out of clean laundry and they're probably into your old underwear now that you've got
Exactly.
the new
Well,
stuff.
new soft underwear, man-made.
You you're wearing the new stuff, they're staying in the guest room, and you put all your old underwear in that drawer. "Ah, I might need that someday."
You never know.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. Did you know that 60% of Canadian mortgages come up for renewal in 2025 and 2026? Is yours one of them? This is a great reason why you should reach out to ThompsonMortgages.com. Don't just docu-sign that email that comes from your current lender. Reach out to ThompsonMortgages.com. Ask Mike or any one of the team members if you should be on a fixed rate, a variable rate. What kind of terms should you be looking at? These are great questions for anyone at ThompsonMortgages.com. And if you do reach out, please let them know that you heard about this on the Reluctantly podcast. You talked earlier about an Italian gentleman saying that he learned English from watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? From watching your show. Where are some of the places that you've traveled to that you just thought, "Wow, I'm doing improv in this place"? Who'd have thought that?
Back in the days of the British one, we went to Abu Dhabi and Dubai. The show was really big there for some reason. Brad and I did a tour in India that people, it was like we were rock stars. It was really bizarre. I know Israel, Argentina. Yeah, it's gone to quite a few places. And they've tried, I knew Australia tried a Who's Line and India had a Who's Line. I think Russell Peters was involved with it, but it didn't quite take off.
When you go to places like that, I just wondered, like, I talked to my son. He's a professional drummer. He actually drums for AP Dillon, who is a megastar in India. They have an India tour coming up in December, and they just recently played in Dubai. When you travel to places like that, you have to kind of be careful. There's cultural things that are acceptable and not acceptable
Mhm.
compared to what might happen in the West. Have you ever done anything on a performance on a stage or anything where everybody went ooh?
We were lucky. I mean, before our first show, we thought, okay, are we? I mean, yes, they speak English, but I mean, these are different cultures here. Are we going to? What's going to happen? And for our first suggestion, we got fart. It was like, oh, okay, we're fine. But about halfway through the tour, the promoter said, "Oh yeah, don't make fun of Gandhi or they'll kill you." And we went, you know what? Now you've put it in my head, first of all. And secondly, that's something you could have started the tour off with. And we did they asked us to do a show. There's like, it's almost like this hour is 22 minutes. It makes fun of the news. And we were on it and they said, we're just going to show you some pictures and make comments on these people. And as I was doing it, I thought this could go, because we have no idea who they are, how important they are, how sacred they may be. But we got through it, but I did not feel easy at all.
Well, I suppose, yeah. There's no way of telling how sensitive people are to what your comments might
Yeah.
be about.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, we were talking about Donovan Workin from the Atomic Improv. He's got a thing where he does the goes on the tee box with his buddy, and they make fun of people about to go up onto the tee box and hit their drive, and it's quite amusing. But it's in the most unlikely of environments because everybody's expecting everybody to be nice and quiet as you get set to take your tee shot, and they're talking about how he looks like Mr. Clean and whatever insulting comments that they can make.
Oh, golfers deserve it.
Are you not a golfer?
I do a game that's very similar to golf. It's the same equipment, it's on the same course, but it doesn't resemble any kind of golfer I've seen.
Is it a great place to have a few?
Oh, it is. It really is.
I don't know who came up with it. A good walk spoiled,
Oh,
I suppose.
yeah.
When you talked about this hour, and you talked about the UK version, and of course, whose line is it? Anyways, the American version. How different was the UK version to the American version from where you stood on the stage there?
Yeah, the UK was, there was no censorship. There were F-bombs dropped regularly, constant misuse of the Queen, and it just seemed fine. And then when we went to America, it became a thing. There was a censor for our first show. In a scene, I was supposed to be in love with Greg Proops, so I kissed him, and then this voice came over nowhere and said, "Can you make up something else?" And in the previous scene, I'd killed 3 women and thrown them out a window. It was fine. But kissing Proops apparently was tearing at the fabric of society, and that made about the next 20 minutes kind of useless because Carey has a real button on censorship. So everything became introduced with words that weren't allowed on television. So they came to this conclusion that we would do the show, and then afterwards, the producer and the censor would fight over whatever things there were. And my best showbiz moment was when Dan Patterson came up after one of those meetings and said, "Colin, we lost the pussy, but we got a penis." I went, "Oh, I don't know how I feel about that, but okay."
You're famous for your physical comedy. How are you holding up with? I mean, you're 67, turning 68. Are
Yeah.
you still as physical when it comes to the comedy?
No, I'm now the wily veteran who doesn't move. I find a chair. Yeah, got arthritis basically in every joint, stenosis of the spine. I can walk. That's my physical activity. I can actually make it look as though I've done more than I have, and I'm still not sure how I did it. People come up and go, "Wow, you really moved." I said, "Oh, did I?" Because my body is screaming every time I move, but good. I'm glad nobody noticed.
One of the remarkable talents that you all have, and we've been witness to on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Things like using Ryan Stiles as a surfboard, or, or whatever. The creativity, the creative process that goes through something like that. When it comes to, like, first of all, how is Greg Proops as a kisser? Is he any good?
Nice. I mean, throughout the show, I think I kissed all of them. I think Drew had the softest lips.
Is that right? Little tongue.
Very tender. No, there's no tongue, but tender as tender as a pair of man-made underwear. Soft and pliable, and yet did what it had to.
Yeah. There you go. So when you're in a situation where you're performing, and all of a sudden it comes to a physical aspect of it, and somebody just has to say, "Yes, I'm a surfboard," or "Yes, I'm a whatever animal it is at the time." Talk to me about, and I asked Donovan about this too, so I'm kind of familiar with improv, with the amount that I've seen. I've performed a couple of times, but I'm terrible at it. So talk to me about the art of saying yes, and so that
Yeah.
there's no blocking.
People are constantly saying, "Oh, how can you improvise? It's just so difficult. It's so hard." And the reason it's hard is because it goes against what we do as people. In improv, you have to immediately accept someone's idea. If you have a great idea, but they get theirs out first, yours is gone. This is the one you're working with. And you have to listen. And those are the two basic things you have. So you say, and this is something Deb and I actually put we thought, hey, why don't we put improv in those rules into our life? Why don't we buck the trend of what we do as people, actually listen and actually maybe say yes to things a little outside of our comfort zone, nothing insane, but maybe take us places that we wouldn't ordinarily go. The very next day, we got a call from World Vision saying, "Would you go to the Congo?" I was like, "Oh, not one of my destination places," but we went, and it turned out to be one of the most amazing trips we ever had. We were in the jungle, focusing on these kids to get fostering, and it was just amazing. So I constantly, not constantly, because I hate teaching, and I'm not very good at it really. But every once in a while, I'm asked to teach improv for corporates, and the listening thing for people is hard because they're not, as I say, they're looking at the other person, just waiting for them to stop so they can say their thing. My wife's mother had just passed away, and we went to the bank to close her credit card. And Deb said to the teller, "My mother just passed away. Her card is a supplementary card to my father, who passed away 7 years ago. We want to close it because, of course, she won't be using it. And we kept it open because she still did a lot. So we want to close this card. It belonged to my father, who died 7 years ago." He looks at me and goes, "Is this him?" And I went, "No, I'm not her dead father." First of all, I'm younger than her. Secondly, if I'm coming back, closing a credit card is not the first thing on my list. But it was, and that happened in two different branches. It's just amazing. Well, I mean, you can watch it when you watch any political shows. Nobody's really listening to each other. Everyone's just kind of shouting. And well, who knows what would happen if people actually listened? It'd be interesting.
Tell me about Deb. You reference your wife, Deb. She's also a performer, an artist.
Mhm.
What you two have been together for quite some time, since back in the late '80s or something. But
Yeah, this January will be 37 years. Yeah, she hired me for Second City. She was a Second City main stager, and then she was kind of the voice of Toronto. She was in every commercial, every sort of animated series. She was on Bizarre with John Biner and uh, what's his face, Dave Einstein. So yeah, and we just kind of hit it off, and yeah, it's been good. I mean, there's been ups and downs financially and otherwise, but we've always been able to make each other laugh and sort of have each other's back. And that's great. It's great to have a partner like that.
aside from your agreement to say yes and go to the Congo, do you ever perform together? Do you do professional gigs?
Yeah, we performed quite a bit. We just had one last week in Montreal for the Quebec Teachers Association. And I don't know what it is with when I'm with Deb, whenever we do corporates, it's always great. The people are wonderful. The audience is into it. When I do corporates with like Brad or anyone else, it's like hell. It's just people just want their awards or whatever. Nobody's listening. It's fascinating.
When you go and ask for people's suggestions, because the audience is really a collaborator in everything that you do.
Mhm.
When you go for and start performing and ask for audience suggestions, do you try to hear something different than you normally hear? Like if everybody always yells out penis or whatever, does your ear, is it tuned to hear the person say porcelain instead of that, or
And
so that
we
you can?
try, and we also try to couch the question so it's something that we don't get gynecologists and proctologists and dildo every time we ask for something. So we try to make it, what was your father's occupation, or what's the weirdest occupation anyone in your family had? And for that one, we had a woman said, "My cousin in Chicago, he's the person you call when you're trapped in an elevator." I thought, you know what? That is, no one would ever just give that as a suggestion. So we find if you make it more personal, you come up with more unusual, or at least something you've never heard before, which makes it fun.
How often do you run into people that are they got bullets in the chamber? They're going to see Colin Mochrie and they got bullets in the chamber. I'm going to try and stump them with, Stachybotrys or
Oh, yeah,
Schistometritis or something.
there are improv nerds out there who are out, and I find also a lot of young improvisers come to the show. They try to work it so that they throw us, and we that's great because that's the kind of stuff we want, stuff we've never heard, and stuff that we have to work a little. So far so good.
How do you deal with I don't know, not, I don't want to say bombing, but how do you deal with stuff that just kind of
You
fizzles
just
out?
keep moving. I know it's, in improv, you quickly learn to embrace the bomb because, at best you got a 50-50 chance when you're going out there. And we have there have been times we have sucked the air out of not only where we're playing, but most of the city. Just, it's like, no, no, bad, bad. But you just, the beauty is then you're on to the next thing. And audiences have short memories as long as you do less than, one in a row.
Yeah. You're talking about meeting your wife, Deb, at Second City. Did you do the Toronto, Chicago, and then New York, LA sort of route? How did that work for you?
It was just Toronto. At that point, they had it was the touring company. Then you would go to London, Ontario, then main stage. And some people, Mike Myers went to Chicago, and a few people since then. But it doesn't seem to happen as much anymore. I don't know why. But yeah, Toronto was it was great. The touring company was great. And getting a chance to go all across the country, and it was during the '80s, and it was the most money I'd made at that point. We were making more than the main stage people because there had been a miscalculation by the Second City staff and actually were paying us what we should have been paid.
Was there any correction to the books down the
No,
road?
no, they just decided, no, okay, now we're cutting back shows. And
Who was in the group? A lot of times you hear about people who were in, whether it's the Groundlings or Second City or something, that there's a cluster of people that you were performing with that ended up going off and doing this movie or that television show or whatever. Were you in a group like that? You mentioned Shrek there.
Mike Myers,
Mike
yeah, he
Myers.
was in the cast before me. Ryan Stiles was in my cast. Pat McKenna from Red Green Show. And who else? And everybody else are kind of working, but not that you would know who they are. They've all made good careers either through directing or teaching or whatever.
Who do you see now, whether it be in a performance aspect from maybe improv performances or up to something a little more with more eyes on it, like SNL? Who do you see that impresses you with their performances these days, young people?
Young people, I don't know. I haven't seen the current SNL cast, but so many great, like Bill Hader, not only incredibly funny, but I thought his performance in Barry was just great, dramatic. But he is someone I would love to work with. And Kristen Wiig, again, someone who can also do drama. Kate McKinnon. Oh, I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of people. There's also a lot of people. I've done shows in Edmonton with Rapid Fire and in Atlanta with Dad's Garage. And there's incredibly talented improvisers there who I just love working with every time I see. I just wish I had more money, I guess.
No,
I was going to go lofty for a second. I thought, no, I want money.
wish I had more money and more bourbon.
You know what? I'm going to make this movie. And hey, Bill Hader, come on along. I want join in the fun.
Reluctantly.
This podcast, reluctantly sponsored by Concept Clothing and Culture. CONXEPPT.com. Handcrafted suits, custom tuxedos, and tailored essentials. Suits starting at $1,188. Made to measure right here in downtown Edmonton. Concept, CONXEPPT.com. If you reach out to Dave or anyone at Concept.com, please let them know that you heard about them on the Reluctantly podcast. Talking about, this was Turn It Local a little bit. We talked about Donovan Workin and talked about Rapid Fire Theater a bit and your performances in Edmonton. Do you know Dana Anderson?
I know Dana Anderson very well. He was married to my wife at one point.
Oh. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we just saw him and Davina at the Fringe. We had brunch together, and I've worked together with Dana a lot since they broke up. Yeah, so Dana is someone who's always fun to work with. Very unusual point of view, and incredibly. He did some scenes at Toronto Second City that were just mind blowing and classics physically. It was just amazing. And Mark Meir is someone who I love working with. Oh God, name people. Pretty much everyone at Rapid Fire. I really enjoyed working with.
I was doing a radio promotion when I was working at the Bear. We were doing a thing called Dare Tear, where listeners would text in or email in and dare me to do ridiculous things. So I dressed as a hooker and stood out in front of the radio station on 100th Avenue and had people honk at me. I dressed in a medieval suit of armor and stood at the 100-yard mark and let people hit golf balls at me to raise money for the Bear Children's Fund. And I got hit in the neck and hit in the ankle, the only two places that weren't protected. But one of the other things that was suggested was that I walk on fire. So at the time, the minor league baseball team here in Edmonton was the Edmonton Trappers, and they figured out during the I don't know if pregame or seventh inning stretch or whatever it was. I think it was pregame. They lined up this big long walkway of coals, and I went through the whole hypnotic or the mental part of it, trying to get me to do it. And I walked on these coals for the promotion for the radio station and got third-degree burns in the bottoms of my feet. And that night, I went and did improv rapid fire theater with Dana Anderson.
Wow.
My feet were all blistered and stuff, and I was doing a guest spot for Rapid Fire Theater just north of White Avenue in the Arts District. So that's my Dana Anderson story. I don't know. I think yours is better. How he used to be with your wife. I didn't see that one coming. That kind of blew me away.
Left a surprise.
Yeah, I don't recommend walking on fire. I'm not sure how crazy.
You know what? Even if you did recommend it, I don't think I would do it.
Yeah. So yeah, they had a person that was, I don't know if it was, one of those mind over matter sort of doctors saying, you can do this, you can do. I got no problem. I just want to make sure I'm not going to A, catch fire, or B, I'm going to be able to walk after this. No problem, because what happens is your feet, they hit the coals, and then it forms a little layer of sweat between your feet and the coals, and it prevents, as long as you keep moving. I don't know if they were using the wrong kind of wood. It was a good hardwood birch or something like that, or maple, and it was burning ultra hot, or if I wasn't moving fast enough. But I had blisters under my feet for weeks. It seemed like it was
horrific.
It was stupid. Yeah, it made getting hit in the throat with a golf ball that much easier. I'll tell you that much.
Well, there you go. It's all perspective.
I suppose it is. When I asked you how often you chat with your buddies from Whose Line, when Drew left to do Price is Right, what was your first reaction?
I thought it was perfect for him. He loves giving people money. He we go, when we go out for dinner or something, he would leave outrageously high tips for people. And when our show would finish for the season, he would take us all on a trip somewhere. He took us it was like a 10-day cruise to Belize. He rented out this sailing ship. There was like 100 of us. And for some reason, he brought his accountant, who just kept saying, "Do you know what this is costing him?" It's like, well, I personally don't care, because this is great. But yeah, it was, it seemed like a perfect fit for him.
How did Drew get into a situation where he was able to take all of you on a 10-day cruise to Belize? What was the pay discrepancy between the performers and Drew?
He had the Drew Carey show that was doing. He was also a producer, and I guess on Whose Line. Yeah. Wait a minute. No, it made sense. It was because of him the show got on the air. So kudos to him.
With Drew going to Price is Right, and then Wayne Brady to Let's Make a Deal, did you start shopping yourself around to do a game show?
No, I mean, I did Are You Smarter Than a Canadian Fifth Grader, which was interesting. It did really well, but then the network thought, oh, they could win money. so it's like, well, that should have been your first thought. Oh, it was so bizarre. It was like, because, I had the kids that I had to deal with, and the contestants. Then I had the producers and everyone in my ear going, get them to answer, see if you can push them away from the. It's like, well, first of all, I don't know what the right answer is, so I don't know where to push him. It was an interesting experience.
It makes me think of some of the old Canadian game shows from back in the day, which you'll win a month's supply of Alpo.
Yeah. Wasn't the Spiegel catalog? Was that something? Or it was,
Spiegel Chicago 60609. Or wasn't that the zip code for
yeah.
the Spiegel catalog?
Wow. Oh my God.
What about off-camera moments? We saw so much of the good stuff, and I'm sure there was a ton that was left on the cutting room floor based on what you were talking about with censors and stuff there
Yeah, pretty
earlier.
much they ended up on blooper reels. And a lot of the stuff, there were very few things that didn't make it on the show, even when mistakes had, like, Ryan breaking the neon in front of Drew's desk with his head. All that stuff. When Wayne Brady picked up an audience member and pulled her skirt up and kind of flashed her to everyone, that stayed in. So, I mean, they just used everything that we did to make a show.
That's him, officer. That's the
Yeah, it's right there. Here, I'll play the clip again. It's on after Greatest Hits.
when you do get a chance to get because you still have a strong relationship with some of the people that you become friendships with the people you perform with when you get together with Ryan or Wayne or any of those people from the show. Do you, like, if you're at a restaurant, do you all of a sudden go into a routine and start messing with servers or something like
No,
that? Do you have any stories from that?
no, it's pretty low key. No, everyone is fairly quiet in public. Sadly, yeah, we haven't caused this. Oh, okay. There was maybe one kind of scene. One of our trips that Drew took us on was Disney World, and he said, "Hey, let's drink through the world because there was all these pavilions." And he said, "We'll start with Canada in your honor." And I went, "Great," and I could see how it was going to go. So I had my beer, which I nursed throughout the entire world. Others, by the end, were crawling on the ground in Disney. People going, "Is that Drew Carey crawling on the ground?" And for some reason, they decided to go. We went to a Cirque du Soleil show that night, and they were kind of in the front row, sound asleep, as jugglers and fire breathers were shouting at them. But that was the most. That was the only time I can remember where things got a little out of hand, and even then, it wasn't much.
I wonder. I've never been a server in a restaurant, but I think that sometimes it may be maybe it's a situation where it's like, oh God, another table. I just wonder how their day is going. So I try to, like, they'll come up to the table and I'll ask them what I can get them first, or just to change things up and to
Yeah.
make it, or if the bill comes, I'll go $5,000 and make a big scene and make everybody look in the restaurant just to make
Yeah, from the
things
story. Yeah.
yeah. Who knows what they're dealing with, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely. Having been in the serving area, it's not always pleasant. And I have to say, most of them, it's not until after the meal they go up. "I just want to say I'm a really big fan." It's like, "Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for not like making a big deal until now. I wish I'd tipped you more." Oh, well,
oh,
maybe you've learned a lesson now.
yes, if I was making Drew Carey money, maybe I
Oh,
would.
God. Yeah.
Do you have a moment where there was somebody that was over top? Oh my God, Colin Mochrie, blah, 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 like anything that you can recall?
No, I mean, I've had a couple of people like just cry. And it's like, um, "Yeah, you okay?" So I grew up with you, and it's like, "Yeah, you're like my Mr. Rogers." It's like, "Okay." So, yeah, but nothing wild. No, that's not my demographic.
Well, I still remember when I first met you back at the Improv in LA, and I was in my I would have been in my early to mid 20s, so probably mid 20s. So you would have been just in your early 30s. I remember meeting you, and I just couldn't get over what a nice guy you were, and the fact that you did hail us a cab. Obviously, I had far too much and needed one. But it's been a terrifically fun ride seeing from that point until this point where we talk again all these years later, and all of the stuff that has happened to you from a career aspect, and seeing it develop on television has been terrific. So I congratulate you, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I've
Uh,
been incredibly fortunate.
and fortunate to have the talent around you as well, because as talented as one person is, the people you surround yourself with, it brings you try to get to their level, they try to get to your level. It's a common sort of goal and everything. I'm going to roll through a few names, if you would humor me and just say the first thing that comes to your mind. And I guess the first question I have was, when you were doing this hour, I was 22 minutes. Rick Mercer was there?
No, I took Rick's place.
Oh, okay. All right. I was wondering about that. Okay. Have you done much work or any with Rick Mercer aside from stealing his job?
No, it was whenever I did things with Rick, it was always like on a personal, either at fundraisers or yeah, but I don't think I've actually ever worked with him, weirdly.
Is he over the top of an Easterner?
He, he
Like
is
a fake accent?
he does have the accent, and it gets stronger the longer he talks or the more he drinks. But yeah, lovely guy.
All right. I'll throw some names at you. Say the first thing that comes to your mind. All right. Ryan Stiles.
Oh, more talented than people think.
How tall is he?
6'6".
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. Wayne Brady.
Oh, yeah. It's too much talent for one person. It's really, really irritating. It really is. I don't think there's anything he can't do.
Yeah, didn't he have that musical show where he had to try and he hosted a musical show
That's
where
right. Yeah.
you had to guess or sing a song and
Yeah,
one
it's almost like Name That Tune or something. Yeah, he's
something.
on Broadway right now. He's the ringmaster in Moulin Rouge.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Greg Proops.
The smartest guy I know. Not about everything, but especially baseball. Has more baseball facts and figures than anyone I've ever met.
Mr. Dress Up.
Oh, Mr. Dress Up was obviously, someone from my early days, and he got me. I'm not an artist, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I loved the way he would draw things, and it just seemed so. So I got an appreciation of art through him.
Did you ever meet Ernie?
No, never met him.
No. The Friendly Giant.
It got me into reading. I was as a young child. I didn't really books didn't interest me, but through Friendly, I got an interest in books. To this day, it's done me well.
Drew Carey.
If you're going to meet a millionaire, he's the guy you want to be your friend. One of the most generous guys, not only in that way, but incredibly supportive and a real mensch.
Eugene Levy.
I just saw Eugene at the John Candy thing again. He kills me, and he doesn't do anything. he's just like, he talks slow, but he's incredibly funny, and I just can't take my eyes off him when I'm with him. He's hypnotic.
Isn't it remarkable how he just continues?
Yeah.
And that I think that's just it continues hard stop. Like he is
I
still.
was watching, Deb and I were watching The Reluctant Traveler last night, where he goes on this bucket list of places that, and it's funny and it's touching. And yeah, and he keeps mentioning, he's almost 80. And it's like, wow, he looks great. He's moving great. And yeah.
That's great. I want to tell everybody that you're November 20th in Victoria, 21st Vancouver, 22nd in Calgary, November 23rd here in Edmonton, November 25th in Kitchener. Is there any sites on expanding that 5-date sort of tour? Is there going to be more?
Not right now. I mean, we're kind of booked, I think, until maybe April or something next year. But yeah, I'm always pushing for more Canadian dates. But yeah, check colinandbradshow.com for that, or hyp-prov.com for the other show, or manmade.com if you want some nice, comfortable underwear.
For Connor and Leon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what a pleasure this has been. I appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck. Happy early
you.
birthday. And I hope that one day you and Donovan and maybe Dana and I can sit and have some lunch. And
I actually did a show with Donovan and Dana at the Northlands Coliseum.
oh, wow, that was a while. You know, they're trying to tear that thing down
Yeah.
finally.
Wow. Wow. There's probably still a bit of a stench from us there.
Oh,
It didn't
well,
go.
there's a stench, but I'm not gonna. Well, maybe the four of us can have dinner and tip poorly.
There you go.
All right. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. It costs you nothing to make a phone call to see if you can get a better rate, a better term, and better service for your mortgage. Also, Concept.com. Concept Clothing and Culture. CONXEPPT.com. Look your best.
Reluctantly.